Hello, I'm Pat Croce, and this is the American Cancer Society's Healed Community Gathering. And we gather every Wednesday live at 11 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, and we thank you for joining us. HEALed is an acronym for Health and Energy Through Active Living Every Day. And since today, if you're watching us live on Facebook or YouTube, is Thanksgiving Eve, I want to say happy Thanksgiving to you all. And we take that attitude of gratitude and bring it into every gathering, every day, every now, starting right now. I want to thank our media sponsor, 6ABC, our leadership partners, LPs, our leadership partners. There's about 30 of them who put up big bucks to help us raise so far $2 million for the research, the HEALed research that is going on in Atlanta, the capital of ACS. And for all of you, each and every one of you who have this link right now, and you went on our website, acshealed.com, and made a donation, no matter what the donation, and you received our HEALed bracelet with that one green bead for harmony and healing and health and happiness, and to signify we're all in this together. And we open up this gathering with a doorbell. It's a Tibetan bell, and I'm going to ring it, and all I ask you to do is rest your attention lovingly on the sound of this bell. We leave our baggage at the door, and we come in open, available, empty of any beliefs and concepts, truly just aware of what's going to unfold in the next 60 minutes. And every gathering, this is our 30th gathering. Yeah, how about that? We have great guests. Specialists usually kick off the hour, and warrior goddesses, the second half of the hour. And I'm so proud to present both of these guests today. Our first one is Dr. Evelyn Robles-Rodriguez. And she said I could call her Evelyn, is an Oncology Advanced Nurse Practitioner at Anderson Cancer Center at Cooper in Camden, New Jersey. As a matter of fact, she's known as the Mother Teresa of Camden. And she serves as a director of outreach, prevention, and survivorship. And she writes and manages grants. And I'm going to let Evelyn tell everything about she does. But one super thing that she brings to the forefront is this health equity. So if Evelyn would come on. Hello, Dr. Evelyn Robles-Rodriguez. Thank you. Evelyn, thanks
Hi,
for joining.
Pat. Hi, Pat, and thank you so much for allowing me to be here with you today in this healed section. I'm so excited to be here. And I really want to thank you and all of the partners who have made this possible. I think the more that our community hears about the positive changes that are being made to ensure, that everyone receives equity, everyone receives the care they deserve, and that there's positivity in their lives, I think the better it will be. So thank you for the opportunity.
Well, Evelyn, you're the sage that's taken advantage of that opportunity, making sure that health equity is an issue and that people understand and change is in the winds. But before we go right there, let's go back in time and just share with us your story of why you became an RN, and then you went on for a PhD, and then you went, especially in oncology. Why?
So I was raised in the Dominican Republic as a young child with my grandparents, and my grandmother was diagnosed with breast cancer in her 40s and returned when she was in her 80s. And we took care of her at home. She died at home from her metastatic breast cancer disease. I was very blessed to share in her journey of survivorship, of going on to the next phase of her life, in collaboration with all of our family members who were involved in her care. And from there, decided that I really wanted to pursue the nursing profession. I graduated from Penn and worked in the step-down ICU for 5 years, and then because of childcare, transferred to radiation therapy at Penn. Was working there as an RN and loved working with our oncology patients. And Penn recruited me for my master's program for my nurse practitioner degree, which I undertook. When I graduated, I was looking for a job, and I knew that disparities and equity was something that I was extremely interested in. As someone who was raised poor, as someone who, had climbed up to better myself through education, I wanted to give that opportunity to other people as well, and especially in healthcare, where the disparities are rampant, especially for our communities of color, especially when there's a language barrier. So I undertook my master's and was able to get an opportunity to work here in Camden with the Cancer Center. So I was hired to work with our educational and screening program for our underserved community, and it's become a passion. I have been here for 25 years. I decided to pursue my doctorate degree and graduated about 3 years ago in the practice of nurse practitioner, and it's been quite a journey. And one of the things that I have from that doctorate degree, thanks to support from the American Cancer Society, was pursuing equity work with our patients. So in the past, we've always focused on disparities, addressing the disparities. And for 20 plus years, that was the focus that I had, making sure that our community that was underserved was able to access care, was able to access their screening for cancer in a way where we address some of the issues that they were having so they can come in for their screenings. With the doctorate degree and with support from some grant funders, we now are focused on equity, making sure that everyone, yes, has access to care, but that we address any of the barriers that prevent these patients from accessing care in a way that's congruent with their needs.
Okay,
Uh,
Evelyn, let me stop you there. I
sure.
want you to describe those barriers.
So, yeah, the barriers are many. For some of our communities, it could be language, not understanding, not having the opportunity to speak with someone who speaks their own language and can really communicate with them. For others, it can be just in the lack of understanding of what their screening should be. They don't know that they need to get a mammogram at 40, that they need to get colorectal screening at 45. For some people, it's really mistrust of the healthcare system. They may have had other experiences in the past in which they had issues with the healthcare team, and now are unaware and unsure and unhappy with continuing to receive care through that healthcare system. We have people who lack of funds. Maybe they have insurance, but they don't know how to use insurance. One of the things that we found when we were seeing patients prior to Obamacare, we were screening about 2,500 patients a year. And post Obamacare, we lost about 1,500 patients and we're screening about 1,000. What we found was that there was a number of patients who had insurance but had no clue how to access care.
Mm.
So they had their insurance card and it sat next to them, it sat in their wallet, but they weren't getting their screening tests. So we have focused on navigating patients into the system, talking to them, letting them know how to use their insurance, and bringing them in, maybe providing transportation, providing, making the appointments for them, helping them fill out the paperwork. Those are all the barriers that our patients face on a daily basis that prevent them from coming in from needed screenings.
So,
And
how do
then
you do
fear.
that? Evelyn, how do you do that? How do you make your voice heard?
So we provide a lot of community education, and we also work with partners, right? Partnership, we know, is so important to making sure that we are reaching the community where they need to be reached. So we have a number of grassroots organizations as well as the Department of Health who work with us, some of the local federally qualified healthcare clinics, all working in collaboration to kind of like find these patients where they're at, working with the housing projects, getting outreach into them, into their areas. So actually sending people into their community. At one point, we were doing what was called home health parties, where we actually went into people's homes and we provided them education in their homes with their relatives, with their friends, to educate them through gaming rather than through lectures in a
I love
manner where
that.
they enjoyed it. So people loved that. It was a great icebreaker, and they told us about more of the barriers, and we learned about more things that we needed to address when we were educating them. So it's really a way of finding out how do you reach the community where they live, where they work, where they worship, in a way that they can really understand the information, the importance of the screening, and also understand that they have a team here that's willing to do whatever is needed to get them the care they deserve and that they should have.
So, how effective is one, the learning curve for you and your team, and two, the response from what you've learned, implementing it so there is change, so that 1,000 goes back to 2,500 people again being screened?
Yeah, Pat, I think it's a daily struggle, right? I always feel when we have someone diagnosed in the community that doesn't know about our program, where did we fail them? What could we have done better? What else do we need to do? It really takes a large group of individuals, a village, as they say, to be able to spread the message. So it's continuing to work, tediously every day to figure out how to continue to spread the message in the way that needs to be spread. We have continuously working with our community partners to get people in. We have a new program now that we're very excited about, where we actually are not just focusing on cancer care, but also on the cardiac health of our patients. So, getting these patients in who have no medical homes, which is a large number of patients who may have insurance or not have insurance and don't have a primary care provider that they go to. So one of the things we're doing is linking them with a medical home where they can get the routine screenings that they deserve. It's working with not just the well-known organizations, but the little organizations. We have a family who's had a lot of cancer diagnoses in their families and have a mutation in one of the genes that increases their risk of getting cancer for those that have that mutation. And they help us spread the word tremendously in the community through social media, through just one-on-one outreach to people in their community and outside of their community. So it is the partnerships, it is working together, and it is continuing to look for what the barriers are, the ones we know and the ones we don't know about.
Okay, so the barriers that you do know about and the ones that you address and the messages heard and screenings are implemented, is there a way to measure the impact of those that are getting screened?
Absolutely. So one of the things that we do, and I apologize because my screen timed out. One of the things that we do is that we measure our impact every day. So we're looking at what's working, what are the barriers that we notice most people are um, uh, have. What are the things that are helping bring our patients in? And then we work with implementing new programs to address those barriers or to address the needs of the community. So we do needs assessments every year, every 3 years, excuse me, with our community partners to address new problems that may be persistent out there. One of the things that we found out is that with the COVID-19, that a lot of our patients stopped coming in for screening because they were afraid of getting COVID. They were afraid, is the healthcare system safe for me to come in? So we put a lot of effort into sending postcards and putting out education about the fact that it was safe to come back in for screening. And what was found, if you look nationally, was that there was a lot of cancers that were diagnosed in later stages because of the lack of screening that went on during the COVID worst part of the pandemic. And even now, it's still difficult getting some patients to come in routinely for their screening because still we have the fear of COVID because we still have that pandemic affecting our communities and especially our underserved communities.
So,
Uh,
from the horse's mouth to everyone out there, how important are screenings?
Extremely important. We know that screenings that we have, breast, cervical, prostate, colorectal, lung cancer that we now have also, as well as skin cancer screening, that the earlier you diagnose a cancer, the better the chance is for cure. So we need to spread the message about the importance of early detection in order for patients to survive their cancer and to lead a long, happy life. And that is our goal. Our goal is to find these cancers the earliest possible. And for some of the cancers, prevention, right? For colon cancer, for cervical cancer, when we do the screenings that we do, we actually prevent these cancers from occurring in the future. So we have both prevention, we have early detection, and both are extremely important for the survival of our patients.
And what do you feel our gathering need to know regarding screenings? Like, what, if you had to say one thing to everyone who's listening to you, what is that one message relative to screening?
I would say that the most important thing is to look around you and to find out who in your family, who of the people you know are not getting screened, and then get them in for screening. Hold their hand, push them to get educated because fear is one of the main reasons why some of our patients are not getting screened.
Hmm.
Fear and lack of education. So just think of one person in your life that you can affect. Take their hand, bring them in for screening, bring them in for education. And if you do that, you're making a huge impact on the life of someone. And if we all did that, Pat, think about that. If we all just affected the life of one person around us, how amazing would that be?
What a beautiful message here on Thanksgiving season. Wow. So let me take you, Evelyn, or you take us from the Mother Teresa of Camden to the
How about that?
Dominican Republic where you were born and where you were penniless, and you're going back now as a PhD and bringing with you all of this knowledge, power, expertise, and an initiative. Share with us this initiative.
So, my husband and a few friends of ours decided to put together a 501c3 culture missions a few years back. And we specifically wanted to focus on the Dominican Republic because I am from that area and because we have good friends from that area. So, what we do is we go once a year, and sadly, we haven't gone in the last couple years due to the pandemic, and we provide both a medical mission as well as we help with building structures. One year we focus on rebuilding some of the public schools in the area. And we also make sure that we provide love, let them understand that there is people here around them who love them, who care about them, who want to impact their lives. Now, when we started that mission 5 years ago, one of the things that I brought forth was that we were there only once a year, but we wanted to make sure that the community understood that they were in our hearts and our mind throughout the year. So in the Dominican Republic, we don't celebrate so much Christmas as we do the Three Kings Day. And in the Three Kings Day, what you do is the camels come with the three kings. You put a box under your bed, and the camels and the three kings fill your box with toys. In the areas that we're serving in the west part of the Dominican Republic, it's extremely poor. So those kids often don't have Three Kings Day. They don't have presents. And food is definitely a difficult part for them as well. So what we decided to do was get the names of children and their ages and their genders from the local community leaders that we serve. And they send us a list of those children. We then link those children with people here in the US that want to sponsor them. We ask them to get a dollar store plastic shoebox and fill it with clothes and toys and school supplies. And then every child gets a box that's individually um, uh, put together just for them with their name, with their age, decorated, as beautifully as possible. And those kids are so excited. Last year, the boxes were a little late due to the pandemic. And one of the gentlemen were like, Evelyn, where are the boxes coming? The kids are driving me crazy. They're waiting for their supplies. And the one town, especially, the town is basically just dirt roads. So those kids are looking out every day for that giant transportation box to come in with the shoe boxes. So it's, something that I love. We started out with about 200 children. This year we did almost 500 that we filled out shoe boxes for.
Oh, that's
It's
beautiful.
it's an amazing, just so fulfilling for me. I think I get more pleasure and more anything out of that than the kids, because it just warms your heart to see the pictures afterwards of the kids.
Do you plan to go back?
Yes, so God willing, this summer we're planning to go back in July, the week of July 17th, for another week, and we're putting our medical team together. We work with the public free hospitals over there to provide care for them. Working also, one of our surgeons went last year or 2 years ago and provided some surgeries to the team over there, and we're excited. We plan to go back again this year, God willing.
You are just a bundle of love.
Thank
Love,
you,
love,
Pat.
love. Thank you.
Thank you.
Now, we're going to have the second half of this love equation right now, but I would just want you to sit on the bench, Dr. Evelyn how do you say that?
Robles. Yep.
Robles Rodriguez. I
Yep.
don't speak Spanish. I wish I
Oh, yeah,
did.
that was perfect, Pat.
And I'll bring you back and then we'll share time again at the end.
Sounds perfect.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So we talked about love. We talk about Thanksgiving. We talk about an attitude of gratitude. And you see this show today is all about that. And we started with Evelyn. And now we're going to end with Jenn. Jenn's last name is Greenhut-Tollin. And Jenn, I'm going to let her tell the story, but she's our warrior for the day. And she had stage 4 triple negative breast cancer. And if you don't know what that is, Jenn is going to explain it for us. But it could be most devastating. Jenn, come on.
Hi, Pat.
Hello there. And Jenn, where are you talking to us from?
I'm in Los Angeles, La La Land.
Well, thank you for getting up early and sharing your time and story with us.
Well, very happy to be here. I've been watching your show, so I'm excited to share.
Well, thank you. And we want you to share because you have a two-part. This is going to be a two-part
How to get started.
Sharing, because first it's going to be her journey with a diagnosis, and then where this diagnosis took Jenn and her unique skill set to make sure that love permeates this beautiful world of ours. So Jenn, share with us your cancer diagnosis.
So I want to point out also what Dr. Robles was saying about the screenings, because before my cancer diagnosis, I had had a mammogram. It was July and it was clear. And I was diagnosed in December of that year with stage 4 triple negative breast cancer. And I should have been getting ultrasounds with my mammogram. My mammogram didn't detect this big tumor that was growing because I had dense breast tissue. So it failed to see the tumor. If I had an ultrasound, which most women should be getting with their mammograms, I probably would have saved myself a stage 4 to maybe a stage 2.
Okay, so what Jenn is saying right now, ladies, is that in addition to your mammogram, request an ultrasound. And, we've had guests on in the past, Jenn, who said, you have to be your best advocate.
Yeah.
You have to make sure that you get what you intuitively feel you need. And this is what this education, this gathering is all about. You're sharing with people that you may not have had this diagnosis, or the diagnosis may have been in an earlier phase.
Exactly.
Should you have had the ultrasound.
Exactly. Because I just trusted the mammograms. I mean, I didn't know any better. But then I learned, a little too late. But that's, one of my things is I'm always telling women to get the ultrasounds. But for me, I was never sick. I was an athlete, a gymnast, a yoga teacher. I felt a lump under my arm and I thought it was a cyst. And I went to my regular doctor, my internist, and he said, I'm a little concerned. I'm going to send you to an oncologist to check it out. And I had no idea what an oncologist was because I never like had a cancer scare or anything. And then from that day, that was like a Wednesday, the next Wednesday, a week of scans and tests, it ended up being stage 4 triple negative breast cancer. And
share with us all what triple negative means.
triple negative is a type of cancer where it's not related to any of the hormones. So it's HER2 negative, it's not related to progesterone or estrogen. It is very aggressive. It's known to affect younger women, also Hispanic and Black, and it's also known to be related to Ashkenaz Jew, which is part of my bloodline, and the BRCA gene, the breast cancer gene.
Wow.
So, again.
And the prognosis of that diagnosis?
50-50 was my prognosis.
When you were diagnosed, they said 50%
Yeah,
chance?
when I was diagnosed, they said 50-50. But it was interesting because so when you're diagnosed with cancer, you have to find your team of doctors. And so I was interviewing a couple because you want different opinions. And the first 2 doctors who had been giving me like, go get an MRI, and then thinking it was stage 2, and then it became stage 3 because there were a lot of lymph nodes involved. And then one of the doctors said, we just need to get a PET scan just to make sure, it's nowhere else. And then, of course, the PET scan shows that it's in my sternum bone. So then all of a sudden, I'm stage 4, and everyone's kind of more nervous than they were, 5 days prior. So then my last interview.
How were you? How were you right then and there?
I was a mess. I honestly thought the universe made no sense to me. I was a spiritual person. I believed in manifesting and believing, I thought I was going to be here for a long time. I was starting to think that I was being punished because the first 45 years of my life, I didn't do much. And the universe was basically saying, okay, Jen, you're done. We gave you enough time. You didn't do this. You didn't do this. You didn't do this. Time to go. You can, try again next generation.
Jen, that voice in the head is scary, isn't it? That it could
crazy.
Create such wild beliefs.
Oh my gosh, it's crazy. And just to let everybody know, I had been recently married and we were trying to have a baby. We were going through a lot of rounds of IVF. The first one, I was pregnant, then miscarried, a couple more times, tried, was getting really just down about everything. And just looking at what I didn't have. Everybody had everything that I wanted and I didn't have anything. That was my mindset. So then I'm meeting my 3rd oncologist at UCLA, Dr. Slayman. He basically told me that if I had gotten pregnant, my pregnancy would have killed me.
Oh.
And I promise you, in that moment, I went from being the victim to a warrior. In that moment, I saw the universe was protecting me by not giving me what I had wanted.
Stop, Jen. Stop right there. Just stop right there. Just pause. Because that's so powerful, that message you're saying right now. The divine universe gives us what we need, not necessarily what we want. And you just proved it. You just said it. It gave me a chill down my spine.
I get a chill every time I tell it because it was such a powerful moment to realize I was being protected and that cancer might be the best thing that happened to me. It's like the universe knocking on my door saying, Jen, this is supposed to help you. This is supposed to teach you something, to learn lessons, to see where this can take you. It also taught me that life is the only thing that I want. Everything else is icing on the cake. So whatever I was worried about not having, I was like, oh my God, I was alive and healthy. I can't believe I was worried about my hair or not having the right car or not traveling to a certain place. Like all I want, I felt like Jimmy Stewart in It's a Wonderful Life. All I wanted was to be alive. And so I started to think of everything that I had. I was grateful as soon as I got cancer and as soon as I picked my team of doctors and I trusted in their protocol and the journey and being an athlete mentality, I put myself in the 50% category of I'm going to make it. And I'm going to make this the best thing that happened to me. I don't know how I'm going to do it, but I started to look at all the positives. Like, I get to go through this journey. I get to experience being bald, you know, and my hair is going to grow back so much better, which it did. I mean, my hair is so long now and I was totally bald. My chemo, I looked at as like a chemo cleanse. My chemo is going to clean out my body, change, you know, the negative cancer cells. And I was building my body up again for an entire new life, new perspective, new life, healthy body, healthy mind. I looked at chemo as healing medicine. I said a prayer before chemo. Thank you for being able to receive this. Thank you for healing me, for saving my life. I think my body was surrendering to chemo as medicine. And it really just, after the third round of chemo, my stage 4 tumor, which was huge, my oncologist had no idea where it was. He couldn't feel it anymore.
Whoa.
Shocked. So I think that's something that I did that was, you know, possibly, you know, the right thing to do.
Well, you surrendered to the universe. You surrendered to what was needed. And exactly what was needed in your treatment plan?
So I went through 6 rounds of chemo first because they want to shrink the tumor, and then a double mastectomy. And then I had to rest and recover. And then I had radiation, 6 weeks of radiation. And then I had another 3 surgeries to reconstruct and also remove ovaries because I was testing for the BRCA gene. So
what is that gene? Describe for everyone the
BRCA. Okay, so it's the breast cancer ovarian gene. So I received it because part of my bloodline is Ashkenaz Jew. But so when I tested positive for the BRCA gene, it just made me in the 80% category of getting breast cancer before I'm 65. If I had known that in my 30s, it would have been really nice to know, because then maybe I would have chosen to remove my breasts or chosen, you know, to take preventative measures of watching out for breast cancer and ovarian cancer, as opposed to finding out at stage 4. But so my mother and my sister did not test positive. They thought they were going to have the gene as well. It was my father and my brother who have the gene. And so it's really important for men as well as women to know if they have the gene or not, because for men, you have a higher risk of prostate cancer, pancreatic cancer, and breast cancer even.
And how is it tested, Jen? Is it a blood test?
It's a blood test. It's a blood test. And that's another project, Pat, I'm working on with a friend of mine who is also BRCA positive. There's so many people who have no idea what that even means. There's so many people that can't afford to get a BRCA gene test because it's like $5,000 if you just go into your doctor and say, I want a BRCA gene test. It's not covered under insurance unless you have a BRCA gene positive relative or somebody in your family has died of breast cancer. Then possibly you can fight to get a BRCA test. But we're on a mission to make this blood test covered under insurance. And when anyone turns 21, they have the right to get a BRCA test if they want to.
And you say you're on this mission. Define the mission. What are you doing?
The mission is getting a bill passed in Congress and then like a pap smear, having it become part of the regular testing that your insurance covers for you.
Beautiful. And how can people help you with that cause?
This cause it's in the works now. I would love to share a website called BRCAaware.org. And that's a friend of mine who is the head of this, getting the bill passed.
Would you spell that, please?
Yeah. BRCA, BRCA, aware.org. BRCAaware.org. It's already in the works, but yeah, would love all the help and everything.
So let's go back to your treatment plan. When was the treatment? When did it start? Was 2017? When was it?
2017, I started in January.
And
it was about four months of chemo. And then right away was the double mastectomy in May. And that's when they deemed me cancer-free. So it was about 4 months from stage 4 to cancer-free.
But then you had radiation after that.
Yeah, because I was stage 4, they just want to make sure that they get everything, all the little cells that they can't even see. But the pathology report from the double mastectomy was completely clear. And that, Pat, was a huge moment as well, because then I was not in the 50% category of it coming back, which is another trait for triple negative. If it comes back within 5 years, it's pretty much never gonna go away. And you're pretty much not gonna live as long as you want to live. To be nice about it. If it doesn't come back within 5 years, it's never coming back.
Okay, so knowing that,
Yeah.
obviously you knew that data, and you're at the oncology office or wherever you were to see the results of your test. Take us there. Take us to that moment.
The moment was on the phone, and I'm in bed recovering. After a double mastectomy, you really can't move. You're on pain meds and this and that. But it's 9 days after the surgery, and you're just sort of like waiting in this waiting mode. In my mind, I have to say I knew that it was going to be I knew it was going to be clear. That was just how I felt. But of course, hearing it on the phone, and it's just like a major release. Then it's just like everything is up. Everything was uphill after that. And I still had to be very aware of the fact that it doesn't guarantee, I still had 5 years. I'm still in my 5-year journey, but I'm now at almost 4.5 years of being cancer-free. So every year that I am cancer-free is a little more conviction that it's not coming back. It lessens the statistics.
So not only are you, like Evelyn, going out there and ringing the bell so that people are aware of diagnoses, early detection, screening, but you've also taken this journey, this cancer journey, and you've developed a business around it. Share with us this new business launch.
So when I was going through chemo and when I was starting to see the effects of how amazing my tumor was going away and this and that, and I was already feeling like thinking ahead, I need to help my doctors, my researchers at UCLA figure out a cure. I got to help them because that will ultimately help me. God forbid it comes back. We're going to need to find a cure by then. So already I was like brainstorming. What do I do? I know I know I want to spread a message about love and positivity and gratitude, because I felt that was a major shift in my mindset. And it was working. I felt it was working. And I wanted to make it about triple negative cancer, but triple negative sounds like a killer. It's all negative, no positive. How do I reverse that? And then it probably took a day to figure out the name, but then it became zero negative. Zero negative to me meant everything good, all positive, no negative. And it also meant cancer-free. Triple negative to zero negative, cancer-free.
I love it. I love the name.
So it became about spreading love and spreading this message of loving your challenge, whatever that may be, because this challenge is coming to help you grow, to help you evolve, to teach you something. The lessons for me were really about self-love, loving who I was, and then being able to receive the love coming to me, whether it's from my doctors or it's from my family, my friends. There is so much love if you just open up to it.
Okay, Jen, stay there. And this is spiritually deep where you are going for me right now, because to share the love, you have to first love yourself. And prior to this cancer diagnosis, would you have said you loved yourself?
No, I was filled with so much hatred. I hate to say it, but because my mind was thinking about what I didn't have, there was something wrong with me. What was I doing wrong? Did I not deserve these things that I wanted? You know, there was something in me that I just did not like. I didn't like myself. I was a failure, and I beat myself up. I was also a gymnast, so it comes with the territory. If I'm not perfect, then I'm not worthy. If I'm not perfect, I'm not good enough. So the love, it came in a doctor's office because I was like yelling at myself for having stage 4 cancer. And then I said in my mind, Jen, you need to forgive. You need to forgive all the things that happened in your life, because this is your life. Like, you can't beat yourself up. There was something in me that said forgive. So
That's called grace. That's grace. Grace pulling you home from within, because you weren't listening to anyone from the outside. So grace worked its magic from the inside. And those 10s that you were striving for as a gymnast now have evolved into a 0, which I love. I love, because, you know, we all want to be the perfect 10, which is all ego, right? A 10 to whom? Because God, in God's eyes, in her eyes, we're all 10s, right? We're all perfect.
And even, yeah, we shouldn't even have a number. It's just like who you are is perfect. Just let's help you be who you are, and, you know, not try to hide who you are, because we want you to be who you are. The world needs you to be you fully.
And fully, the essence of all of us is love, peace, love, and happiness. So take this love component. You took this element that evolved, and I guess the clouds parted in your mind, and the shining of your true nature came forth, that peace, love, and happiness about yourself first before you spread it like a tsunami. And you decide to take what with this love? Share with us.
So I also believe the universe is always on your side when you're going down the right path. So all of these doors started opening from, like, I had an amazing friend who's still a great friend who was a designer, and she's now a caterer, but she had this like bag in her closet that said love. And I was like, oh my gosh, I want to design accessories that say love, build a company to spread this message, and see where it goes. And so that's basically how it started. And I asked my oncologist, like, what charity are you involved with? And he told me it was the Jonsson Cancer Center Foundation. Okay, boom, done. From the Jonsson Cancer Center Foundation, they introduced me to this amazing designer guy who ended up doing my logo. And it's so funny because 0 and negative turns into like a positive sign. So done. Get the bags made and website, and now, you know, it's just like creating now. It's all about creating, and eventually maybe the bags will say a message of hope or trust or surrender. You know, it's all of these ideas.
No hope. I'm going to say, don't use hope. I love, because hope is the smiley face of fear. There's still fear there when you're hoping. No, bring that love in that you have.
It's all about love. So Pat, also when I was going through chemo, I wore beanies, I wore scarves, I wore all these like fingerless gloves. So that's part of like what I
Yeah.
zero negative to design for like people who want to go, who have to go through chemo, but also want to look stylish. And also all of these things I wore during chemo, wear now as, you know, a healthy person.
Do you have
So,
your bag there right now? Do you have a bag?
yes, I do. It's to remind this is one of the colors. This bag is perfect for chemo as well because it fits everything. But then it's also perfect for like a travel bag, a day bag, a diaper bag,
A beach bag?
a beach bag. So this was the regular tote, but I also have designs of crossbody bags, and the crossbody bags are also fanny pack bags because when you have a double mastectomy, you can't wear anything across your chest. So I made it as a fanny pack. And then when you can, you know, you can turn it into a crossbody. And then we also have t-shirts and hats. And we just started a jewelry line where I'll show you real quick. There's like, it's pink, but it's a breast cancer sign and a heart that's for love.
Oh,
So
beautiful.
love is healing. And one of the other things that I believe is like our passion. Follow your passion, follow your heart. And my passion also is sharing the story, helping others, helping, you know, raise money for cancer research. And my husband and I just wrote a book that we're trying to find a publisher. If there are any publishers watching, we're looking for one. But it's like a he said, she said book. My journey as the patient and his journey as the caregiver.
Oh, nice.
And it's quirky. It's funny. It's like Harry met Sally, but then Sally gets cancer. And we hope.
What's it called?
It's called, well, we're still thinking about the title, but right now it's called Better Me Than You, because that was one of the first things I said to my husband, Larry, that it was better I had cancer than he did, because he would have been a horrible patient, I think. But it could be zero negative, the most positive book you'll ever read. It could be, you know, turning negatives into positives. We're not sure yet, but
I
it's
just
written.
love, you know, there's a book by the Vietnamese Buddhist monk Thich Nhat Hanh, who's in his 90s now, but he wrote a book, No Mud, No Lotus. You are the lotus flower that blossomed from the mud. You needed that mud for your true self to just blossom like a gorgeous lotus flower. And that is another message that you're giving. The universe will shake you until you wake up. And that shaking's not comfortable.
Well, no, and the universe knew like I needed a stage 4 shake, you know, not a stage 1. And also, like, it just sounds weird to say I'm grateful I had stage 4, but I am, because it just makes everything like more like real. Like love healed stage 4. You know, if you can turn stage 4 into, you know, nothing and be fine, you can do anything you want. And it was really just like a huge lesson for something I hope to help other people know, that they can choose how they want to look at their situation. It's your choice. It's not anybody else's. And it's your story to write. And you can make it whatever story you want, because if that's the story you want to believe, that's your truth. And that's the truth. And it's all about your truth.
That is lovely. So lovely. So stay right there, Jen. And let's bring back Dr. Evelyn Robles-Rodriguez.
Okay.
Evelyn, how about that? We have the second half of love coming in your story. Your love in Camden and the Dominican Republic spreading, and then Jen spreading out of LA. Do you have a question for each other? Please share, or comments.
I did want to say, Jen, first of all, I loved your journey and the positivity that came out of it, because I think that positivity is so important for healing and for growth. So, you know, beautiful story. I did want to say, in terms of the genetic counseling and testing, that we now have testing that's available, at least here in the East Coast, and it might be different in the West Coast, where you can get testing for $250 even without insurance.
Oh,
So
wow. That's
the
amazing.
important, yeah, so there's definitely gone down in price since I first started working in the genetic world. It used to be, like you say, it's $5,000 in this part of the country. Now you can get it for, that lower cost. I do want to say that I think one of the important things is to speak with a genetic counselor before deciding on the testing you want. And the reason why I say that is because there are many different panels for genetic testing, and based on your history, you may need to get one panel over the other or one particular test over the other. So,
Mm,
getting that genetic testing when you're thinking about your putting together your bill for your law, I would also recommend that you have genetic counseling be part of what's covered by the insurances,
yeah, that
because
makes
that
a
would
lot.
definitely lead the journey.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense
Well,
because
there
it
you
could.
go, Jen. Then, Jen, you got to make sure that Evelyn, you share your
Mhm.
contact information with Jen so
Oh,
that
For
for
she
sure.
sure.
does
Yeah.
incorporate exactly because you write grants, right?
Yes.
And you know what ticklers you have to incorporate in your grants so that you get yeses.
Yeah, absolutely. Happy to help you, Jen. I think that
Okay.
that's
Yeah.
a wonderful thing.
No, we're in the process of creating a documentary too about the journey of the bill being passed.
Oh,
So
wow.
so it's kind of like the same thing, Pat. We're writing the story. It's going to be passed. It's out there. But it's just putting the pieces together and documenting that, and also getting real stories from survivors and from also people that are finding out they might be BRCA positive and figuring out, helping them figure out what they want to do with that information because it could be
Jen, you
really
said
overwhelming.
you did yoga. Do you still do yoga or teach yoga?
I still do yoga. Um, One of my loves, I feel meditation and just breathing and moving with your body, and it really brings you into the present moment. And I know your platform is moving body, moving your body for health. It's so interesting because I teach privately, and when I was going through chemo and radiation and everything, I still taught most of the time. And I felt it was just me saying, chemo's not going to ruin my, I could still do a lot of things doing chemo. Um, and with yoga, you can be super easy, you can be restorative, or you can make it, powerful or rigorous. So it's just really where you are in that moment. So it was teaching me how to honor my body, also like how to, respect where I was.
Jen and Evelyn, my wife Diane, her yoga guru for many years, a wonderful, wonderful person, Erica, she tested BRCA positive and had a double mastectomy. And so I
Preventative,
want I
right?
want her to
Wow.
preventative. I want her to come on as a guest at some time because she's got these long dreadlocks and she's just very spiritual and a great yogi. But you said something that, and both of you know this, that healed health and energy through active living every day. And that health and energy is not just physical health, but it's mental health, which you demonstrated, Jen. It's spiritual health, which you both demonstrate in the love that you demonstrate that there are no others. You lessen the walls between the otherness, so that there's that pure spiritual beingness. So health and energy through active living every damn day.
Yes.
Move the
Every day.
body, quiet the mind.
Hmm.
Absolutely, Pat. And I would say that that is something that we try to stress to our patients. And, we consider our patients survivors from the moment of diagnosis, is that once you have that diagnosis, we don't want you to sit around, and feel sorry for yourself. You need to be moving. You need to be continuing part of that energy, that just being active, like you say, active living, because the more you sit, the more tired you are, the more fatigued, the less you feel like doing anything. So, that active living, active movement is extremely important throughout your entire survivorship journey.
Evelyn, Dr. Erica Rees-Pania, do you know her? From
No.
ACS headquarters. She's the chief scientist for this healed research. She came on in the very beginning, 30 shows ago, And she said that 75% of cancer survivors don't get off the couch. 75%. Is that amazing?
Yeah.
Or if they do get off the couch, they don't do enough to fulfill the requirements of the ACS fitness standards. So what you're saying, Jen, is so important. And when you had your surgery for your double mastectomy and you could return, how long was it in that delta between the surgery and the recovery to when you could recoup and get back into an active life?
Well, I had a hard time staying still. That was like a huge lesson for me to like actually stay still. Like my mom, who's a nurse, she basically had to babysit me because she was like concerned that I was gonna like go on a walk and like make my heart, pound when it wasn't supposed to pound. So she basically wouldn't even let me walk by myself because she wanted to take me really slow. But it was 9 days post-surgery that I went to the Hollywood Bowl because I really wanted to see Paula Abdul. So I had to beg and fight my husband and my mom. I had my drain still.
Oh,
And,
geez.
I don't know if you know Hollywood Bowl, but it's like a trek, you walk, and this is before COVID. So, if COVID was around, that wouldn't have happened. But no, it was 9 days post-surgery that I was out and about. But I would say 6 weeks before I could even like raise my arms. It took a long time to be able to do the regular yoga stuff and a lot of physical therapy. But I definitely recommend physical therapy because they have to like massage the scar tissue and it's gonna, it's building up, And I'm still like a little tighter on my right side, which is where the radiated side was, than the left side. But as far as my health and activity, it's back to normal.
Beautiful. And so leave our guest with one secret that you would love to share, Jen, right now, from your journey, from your learning experience, from how the divine universe shook you and then guided you and then gave you more than you even desired.
Trust in what you are going through, that it's for your best interest, and love the journey because you have no other choice. It's happening. So it's all about loving the journey and trusting that it's happening for a reason. I know that's so cliche, but trust that your journey is happening for you to help you be the best that you can be.
Love it, love it, love it. And Dr. Evelyn Robles-Rodriguez, give us some insights on what everyone can take away to help you with your equity work.
I think it's just important to be aware that we all have biases that exist, that they may be subconscious. So being aware that we all have those biases can help us move forward with improving equity. And as we continue to examine biases, both personally in the healthcare system, in the community, as we continue to work towards improving that equity in our communities, I think that things will continue to improve.
And I'm not going to let you leave unless you repeat that statement you talked about, the importance of screening.
Yes, extremely important to screen. The more we screen, the more we find cancers at earlier stages when they can either be prevented or they can be treated more easily. Like Jen had mentioned, hers was found late. She had a very long journey. When you find them very early, that journey may be a lot shorter. So take care of those around you. Make sure that they get screened and they get educated.
Well, thank you both, Dr. Evelyn Robles-Rodriguez and Jenn Greenhut-Tollin. You two are such manifestations of pure love. Love,
Thank you,
love,
Pat.
love, love.
Thank you, Pat. Happy Thanksgiving.
Now, before you leave, I always end our community gathering with a prayer. It's a simple prayer. It's an attitude. It's a really attitude, but it's a deep attitude. And all it is saying thank you for the grace to help us welcome what is happening right now. Because if we can bring our community into the now, and be aware and open to what is right now, then they're not worried about the past. They're not worried expecting in the future. It really, as you said, generally, it's life, and we only have one life, and it's now. Thank you, both of you, for making such a dynamite show.
Thank
Thank you,
you.
Pat.
Thanks, Jen.
Thank you.